Thanksgiving is upon us, and that means one thing. Not family, not food. It means we got a football slate. 3 games in front of us. It should be some fun prize pools on DraftKings as well. So let's get into it. Of course, today I'm going to build lineups 3 different ways. I'm going to hand build a lineup. I'm going to look at the projections and the ownership projections from Stochastic. Then we're going to optimize some lineups. Last but not least, we're going to simulate some lineups and try to find out some ways to get unique on this slate, one where it should be fairly obvious how a lot of the field's going to attack things. But let's pull up the screen here. Of course, I probably should have done this in advance of the show, but we have, of course, our DraftKings screen here ready to go. You can see the paltry money in my account. We are towards the tail end. I'm unfortunately got to deposit for this Thanksgiving slate, but it'll only make me more grateful, I'm sure, for the plays therein. The guy we have to talk about up top is a guy that I think will be the chalk play on the slate. CeeDee Lamb, $8,700 in this one. 9 targets in the last game against Carolina. That was one we saw the Cowboys having to pull starters once again in the fourth quarter. They keep getting off to big leads. They keep having massive performances and not having to see guys play. That said, we saw last week again, Tommy DeVito, the worst quarterback in the NFL, a guy who has certainly looked like a world beater playing against his Commanders defense. This is a spot where it does feel like if the Cowboys continue to pass like they have been, CeeDee Lamb should be in a potential ceiling spot once more. Obviously, the ways that this gets weird, the Cowboys score some defensive touchdowns. Cowboys run in some touchdowns. That's the way you're going to play a little more of a contrarian build. But I do think, independent of ownership and all of that, for me in this matchup, going to a CeeDee Lamb, again, who's facing the Commanders, and they are 0.06 EPA per drop back allowed, 0.06 EPA per pass. Of course, the expected points added metric that tells you how much above average every single play is being allowed by the opposing defense, or how well the offense is performing relative to average as well. We're also getting 0.15 EPA in the red zone per pass, 0.67 per QB rush as well. Point being here, CeeDee Lamb, Dak, that is the obvious stack. Unfortunately, it is a stack that is a good play, so I'm going to put it in this hand-built single entry here that'll be going into the huddle with 7,500 up top on Thursday. QB with it. So again, the way to get unique would probably be to play a different stack alongside CeeDee Lamb, maybe a different stack alongside CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard. That said, I just don't have a lot of faith in these other teams on the slate. Detroit, you could certainly make a case for. I think Green Bay, you can make a case for. We've talked a lot about Jordan Love in the show, of course. It's one of the people out there with some of the biggest Jordan Love bags in the world. I do think that Jordan Love is a player that I'll get to in a 150 set, but in this kind of game environment right now, I feel like, to me, just loading up on Dallas is still going to be the move, especially in a single entry here, to try to show people actually know that this is the right play. Dak, we've seen the recent games lately, of course, high performances besides that last one against Carolina, where he just didn't have to do as much. Still dropped back and threw 38 times in that game through basically 3 quarters. So the pass rate over expectation was still there. Dallas on the year, let's see, they're at a 2.3% pass rate over expectation overall. In the red zone, they do pass a bit less, a -6% pass rate over expectation there. But still, of course, we're trying to target this entire matchup, trying to target everything you can get against the Commanders, because they could give up 50-yard touchdowns. They could give up 40-yard touchdowns. It's all in the box here to go against Washington. So Dak is going to be my QB in the single entry build as well, and I think he is the best QB play on the slate, though unequivocally going to be one of the chalkiest ones as well. How can we get different here? I'm assuming that this might not actually be a way to get different, but I do think playing Tony Pollard in this spot looks like an okay one to me. Pollard, we saw get back off the schneid last week, got to the end zone, had a few receptions as well, 5 targets in that game, 4 catches for him. But the touchdown equity being there is a positive sign. The fact as well that this is a game where hopefully the Commanders keep it a bit more competitive, and we do see Dallas keep it on the field until the fourth quarter, into the fourth quarter, more than they have been lately. So for Tony Pollard, I think he's a good play in the spot. I'm hoping that pairing him with Dak will be a way to get unique. And I got to be honest, I think you can overstack this game as well. And there are some kind of concerns, I think, if you play a guy like Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup had a good box score game last time out, I believe. We saw, the game before that had a good box score game. Against Carolina, he did not. 5 targets, though, against Carolina. The game before that did put up 15 fantasy points. Michael Gallup, the issue for him is that Jalen Tolbert's taking some of his snaps away. Brandon Cooks has not been affected by that, but we are seeing Gallup's snap count come around and come down a little bit more. He's still been solid for what he's doing out there. Gallup on the year, let's see, 0.14 EPA per target, 25 routes per game, 41 snaps per game. With that number coming down a little bit does make him a tougher play. He is a value at 3,700 though, so he's going to be a guy I plug in here to complete this Dallas QB +3. We'll see if we also get this in an optimizer as well. Bringbacks for Washington, I'm not going to prioritize that yet. I do think we want to get something from Detroit side in their matchup against Green Bay. So we talked about Detroit, a high-scoring team overall, certainly one that the running back play has been key for them. Running backs being in the mix has resulted in less ceiling games for Sam Laporta. I do think Laporta is kind of an interesting game in a 150 set or a 20 max as well. But for this hand build that we're going to do for a single entry, I think you have to get one of Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery. Montgomery's red zone work tends to be my priority, but Gibbs getting more target share recently, looking better with them as well. Now up to 5.6 targets per game compared to just 1.7 for David Montgomery. The red zone work as well. Gibbs got 2.6 red zone touches a game compared to 4.9 for David Montgomery. Gibbs is more expensive. So will people play less Gibbs because he's $500 more expensive? Possibly. I'm going to go Gibbs here. Can Green Bay keep enough pressure on to make it more of a Gibbs game? I guess that's the big question here. Well, if that is the case, guys, what's one way that Green Bay could keep the pressure on in this matchup? A man who we know finally scored a touchdown last week, a man still reasonably priced, a man who still led the team in snaps and routes last week, even though the target share is not looking great for him. On the year, as we mentioned recently, Dontavian Wicks, more receiving yards on the year than Christian Watson. What can I talk myself into as a reason why to play Christian Watson here? Detroit giving up a 7%, 20%, a 7% deep throw rate here of 20 plus air yards, 0.04 EPA on there. I also didn't realize ETR is going right now. I guess that explains it. So fuck ETR for choosing the time frame that I normally go with. But shout out to Kyle being here. Appreciate all you guys being here. I'm still going to do my thing regardless. You guys know the process by this point. There really is no logic to go to Christian Watson here. Green Bay doesn't defend the slot well. 0.18 EPA per target there, compared to a negative 0.04 allowed out wide. Christian Watson, most of his targets are coming in the slot, but he's still getting less targets than a guy like Jaden Reed. On the year, Watson, 22 slot targets, compared to 38 for Jaden Reed. I don't think, is Jaden Reed expensive? Looking for any reason to play Christian Watson, but I don't think this is it. Jaden Reed should also benefit a little bit. No Luke Musgrave in this matchup. Luke Musgrave in the hospital right now, or at least was as of yesterday, with abdominal issues. So it is a Tucker Kraft, a Ben Sims game. I guess, is DeGuara still active? I guess he'd be another guy that could get some snaps. And DeGuara is questionable as well. Non-participant in Tuesday. So it might just be Tucker Kraft and Ben Sims. Kraft and Sims are, I guess, guys that should be reasonably priced. Kraft, 2,500 minimum. He is not a guy with the athletic skills of a Luke Musgrave, but did grade out pretty well against small competition in college. So Kraft is certainly a player we could get to as well. I don't know that I'm dying to get here. Let's see what else we can build. Let's go with the defense. Oh, you choose me. Thank you. And shout out to Ralph Wiggum. As always, though, one of the most brilliant men in sport and analysis out there, just like me. Ralph Wiggum, of course, just a fucking loser, though. Just think we could say that now that he should be an adult. So I can make fun of that slow gentleman there. All right. Other plays we can get to here. I think we do want to get a commander in. Logan Thomas in the spot. Cowboys D has been weak against tight end on the year. We talked about that a few times, and it has paid off in a few slates. Dallas, 0.73 EPA per target allowed to tight ends. Logan Thomas does get a lot of his targets out of the slot, but still 13 targets on the year as a straight tight end, 44 out of the slot. I'm with you on this one, Rob. I feel like Ralph, after some of these slates, I agree, but fortunately, we can dust ourselves off, and Thanksgiving is always a new hope. And frankly, Thanksgiving as well. I've had some good results on Thanksgivings in the past. Sometimes I've ended up in weird late swap situations with Thanksgiving. So I think if you build a good core, and especially if you get those early games right, obviously that's no small task to try to get right. I do think you are going to be in a pretty good spot overall, and it is easier to get there on a 3-game Thanksgiving slate to have that core. And then you probably have to go for the gusto when we get to the Niners-Seattle game, which I don't think has a lot of appealing plays in it, but we can talk about that in a moment. That said, Logan Thomas in this spot. Again, Dallas weak against tight ends. You have to expect that the Commanders are going to drop back a lot in this game, which could mean bad things for Sam Howell, absolutely, but it also could mean production for Logan Thomas. I think we could certainly make the case for guys like Terry McLaurin still getting a lot of work overall, getting the most targets out wide here, but out wide is where Dallas is pretty dangerous. Negative 0.35 EPA, which is one of the best marks in the league. Defending the slot, Dallas a 0.01 EPA, so slightly positive there. That should benefit Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson the most. But I think for Logan Thomas, again, the tight end weakness is so pronounced for Dallas that he's probably my favorite Commanders play. Brian Robinson going to be hard for him to get there. Antonio Gibson is back in practice this week, but still banged up. So the pass game work could be back to being a split there. Hard to fall in love with anybody else in the Commanders, but I do think one commander in a build probably feels right because they're just going to be dropping back a ton, especially if Dallas does put it down in Washington like it seems like is the most likely outcome. In the flex, let's look at defense first, because I think we can try to save some money on defense. We have seen the Niners look resoundingly good recently, coming back to form a little bit after having those down games for their bye week. In this game, we are seeing Seattle predicted for 18 implied points. Geno Smith questionable in this one, did get back in the game on Sunday to lead to a drive for a field goal that didn't end up actually mattering in that game. But this is one where Geno Smith, expecting him to go, but if it's Drew Lock, it's going to be even better for San Francisco. I think the Niners defense is probably the best defensive play besides the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I would say Cowboys probably most live to have a touchdown. The concern would just be, like, can Sam Howell put up enough points that it maybe mitigates that a little bit? I'm not so sure. Sam Howell takes a ton of sacks. Dallas does get pressure at a 23% rate while blitzing at a 32% rate. So things can get really bad for Sam Howell, but we've got so many Cowboys in here. Maybe I should just play Cowboys D, honestly. Let's see what the difference is. Cowboys D is 3,800. What does it get us at flex? Flex, it gets us A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon falling ass forward into a touchdown or two is possible with Aaron Jones banged up. Terry McLaurin is a leverage play. Zach Charbonnet should get some not efficient work at all, but should get a lot of work go against the Niners here. Of course, no Kenneth Walker expected in this game with him having an oblique injury as well. All right, so this is what Cowboys D gives us. The Niners D, does it allow us to upgrade it all at the flex? It would allow us to get Aaron Jones, who's not playing, and Tyler Lockett, and George Kittle. All right, so it actually might be worth it to downgrade to the Niners D from the Cowboys D, even though I do think the Cowboys D is a better play. I'm going to go Lockett here. I think there's upside for Lockett. I do believe that is going to be a tough matchup for Seattle. Maybe Kittle's a better play. It is a positive EPA matchup going against tight ends for Seattle's defense. 0.16 EPA to tight end allowed. They're weaker against the slot with a 0.19 EPA there, but that's a spot for Kittle, or maybe this is a ceiling Kittle game. All right, you know what? No Lockett. Because if it's Drew Lock out there throwing him, like, I love Drew Lock, obviously, the historical things that he's meant to the show, meant to me. But yeah, I don't know. DJ Local saying Robinson with Gibson confirmed out. I didn't see that he was confirmed out, but okay, good to know. He was limited in practice earlier in the week, but Gibson opens up more pass game work for Robinson. I still don't love the role, though, to be honest. I guess they just have to get it downfield enough. If Kittle or Robinson, I'm going to go Kittle. But I think that DJ Local, good case to be made for Robinson with Gibson out. But for me, it's going to be Kittle. This will be my final team. Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, potential. Okay, so not ruled out yet. Keep that in mind. But Gibson maybe trending towards being out. But limited in practice to me usually means that we are trending towards being in. That would be my guess, but we'll see. Prescott, Pollard, Gibbs, Lamb, Gallup, Reed, Logan Thomas, George Kittle. So 2 tight ends and 49ers D. We will see if this comes anything close to what an optimizer gives us. That is what I'm going to put into this team here in the single entry huddle. Projections, let's look at them now. And Stochastic thankfully did fix these right before the show. They had some weird shit in here. I was just showdown plays, I think. So it's fixed now, so we can finally look at it. Salaries are not correct, though. This is not Dak's actual salary, but whatever. So we're not going to be able to look the value metrics. But Dak here, 22.65 projection. He's the top projected player in the slate. CeeDee Lamb, number 2. Tony Pollard, number 3. So once again, I think my single entry build is going to be a little bit chalkier than it probably should be, but it's a single entry, so we can get away with a little bit more. Hopefully some of the unique guys that we put in there. Sam Howell, number 4 projected play. Terry McLaurin, number 5. This just actually, you know what? This might just be Dallas, Washington. All right, let's pull up ETR. Fucking Stochastic, man. Get the data right for me when I'm trying to do a stream. I know they pay me for shows and I don't pay them for their projections, but God damn it, I would like the correct projections to be on here so I could talk to you guys about the show correctly. But let's go to their ETR projections instead. Hello and happy Thanksgiving indeed. Yes, we're yelling at websites, so you know Thanksgiving is going well here on Splash Play. All right, ETR projections. Special fuck ETR stream. Get the projections for free here. Christian McCaffrey, top projected value on the slate. We're sorting by value here, it looks like. All right, let's sort by projection instead. Dak Prescott, number 1 projected. Christian McCaffrey tied with Dak for number 2 overall on ETR's projection. CeeDee Lamb at number 3. Amon-Ra St. Brown, number 4. Brock Purdy, number 5. So, okay, we're not going to hopefully be quite as chalky as it looked like with the incorrect Stochastic data. For this one, though, it does seem like these guys obviously going to be key parts of the portfolio. And, man, you're going to really have to get some value in if you're playing McCaffrey with Lamb. So it's pretty tough. But let's see what else we can get here. Let's look at the value metrics, see who are the best values on the slate according to ETR. Okay. McCaffrey, top valued at $8,700 salary. CeeDee Lamb, number 2. So the value plays aren't even value plays in the slate. It is just the stud plays being priced like they are good values. So that's going to make it pretty tough. Dak at number 3, Cowboys D at number 4, Tony Pollard number 5. So you have to assume that a base of Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Dak, Tony Pollard going to come up in a lot of these builds. And that is definitely something that feels chalky. So the projections are aligned with that as well. Done about 50 Thanksgiving lineups so far across FanDuel and DK. I wouldn't do that until you know all the players being active, but that's just me. Coming up with tons of Charbonnet and CMC, same lineup plus one of the defenses. This is too cute. Not for a 3-game slate. It's not too cute, no. I don't think it's going to be a surprise, though, given that Zach Charbonnet is the best combo of salary and value relative to the spot. So you're just building a lot of chalky teams, it sounds like. Ownership. Let's look at the ownership here. I think this is correct for the slate from Stochastic. So hopefully that'll be it. Top owned plays according to them. Number 1, Christian McCaffrey at 39.7%. So I would guess that Christian McCaffrey could make it into 50% of Thanksgiving lineups, and it would not be a shocker. CeeDee Lamb at number 2, 33.7% here for him, projected by Stochastic. Number 3, Tony Pollard, 31.5%. Number 4, Amon-Ra, 28.6%. And number 5, Zach Charbonnet. So chalk configuration there, you're seeing maybe 2 running backs, maybe 3, including one in the flex. McCaffrey, Lamb going to be the chalk wide receivers. Lamb and Brown, going to be the chalk wide receivers, and McCaffrey going to be the chalk running back, it looks like. I'm not going to do a turkey draft today. Just going to try to keep this focused on the Thanksgiving DraftKings slate. All right, let's look at the optimizer here, and is there a way to grab ETRS projections and use them? I don't know if I have Excel on this computer. Let's see if we can use ETRS projections for the optimizer, because I don't know if stochastics are going to be correct. No. All right, here. I got him here. All right, fuck. Hide, close. All right, well, fuck it. I can't use ETRS projections, so we'll just see what we get here. Not the ideal show, guys. We're still going to come up with some good takes, and the sim should still be running okay. But here are the lineups based off of what I ran right before the show, which I think is probably a combination of FCs, Fantasy Cruncher's default projections, and stochastics, and that means that Luke Musgrave is in, so this is not going to work. All right. See, yeah, this is still going to be a combo of it. So Musgrave not being in is fucking this up. Can I just copy and paste this somehow? Sorry, guys. I did not anticipate stochastics data not working today, which is not ever going to be my ideal. All right. Yeah, then we got to rock with this, unfortunately. Get Christian Watson for the uniqueness. I still think Christian Watson's in play this week, but the projection's definitely not going to push you there. So Musgrave comes up a lot. Obviously, that's going to change a bit here. Musgrave not going to be a core tight end play. Probably does mean that you see a boost to Jake Ferguson. I would think you see Tucker Kraft come up a little bit in this projection as well. So Musgrave and Ferguson, probably your chalk tight ends relative to an optimizer. What are we getting the most of team stack-wise? You're getting a lot of Dallas. So I played into a chalky build. 15 out of 25 lineups have 4-player stacks of Dallas. 5 out of 25 have 5-player stacks. 1 out of 25 have 6-player stacks. We're talking 21 out of 25 have at least 4 Cowboys. So the way to get different right away would be to play 3 or less Cowboys. So that actually played out very well last year for Buffalo. Buffalo was a team where the projections were forcing you to 5, 6, 7 Buffalo Bills. It ended up being, I believe, 2 or 3 Buffalo Bills that made the winning lineup. So I would say the same thing once again. If you're just trying to build unique lineups and right away chop away from a lot of the field, playing 3 or less Cowboys is going to be one way to do that, because it just happens to naturally. And the 4-player build, the Cowboys are coming up a lot. So I would say understacking the Cowboys is definitely going to be a key thing. Players that pop up in 100% of lineups, are there any of them? Dak is at 100%. So that's another way to do it, be to play 3 Cowboys without Dak. So that could be Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Cowboys D, Tony Pollard, other receiver, Cowboys D. That's one way to attack that. But basically, if you do play 4 or more Cowboys, you're going to be locked in with a lot of people here. So that makes it pretty tough right away to really overload the Cowboys, because that's going to be the way that people try to get unique, which means that then playing more Cowboys gets inherently less unique, which means it's not going to be the greatest play in the world. So that's what I'm seeing here. Besides that, a lot of Charbonnet is value. A less Christian McCaffrey than I would have thought. Still a good projection on him, but he's not coming up here. So I guess that's it. It's probably play more McCaffrey, play less Cowboys overall. And I think, again, max 3 Cowboys, or if you're playing 4, make sure you're playing like one of those Cowboys as Brandon Cooks, as Jalen Tolbert, as Michael Gallup, as I guess if Rico Dowdle goes. But if you're playing Cowboys +3, if you're playing Dak with Pollard with Lamb with Cowboys D, if you're playing Dak with Pollard with Lamb with Jake Ferguson, all of those are going to be duped really heavy. So that's the kind of thing that we know from showdowns that you can how to avoid that. For this one, for a main slate kind of thing on Thanksgiving, you need to play it more like a showdown, and I would just try to get unique by playing less Cowboys right away. And Charbonnet and Dillon, it looks like will be the chalk pairing at running back, so keep that in mind as well. Let's see what the Sims gave us here. Oh, of course, it didn't. All right, the lineups didn't generate. So we'll run the Sims and do it one more time, and hopefully it'll look a little more accurate here, though I presume the same projections going in means we're going to have a slightly off Sim. Of course, as I always say here, the numbers move around from the time I'm doing this video until the time the slate locks. That's even more the case today, where I imagine the Sims is going to give us some Luke Musgrave now, which we don't want to have. So incorrect data leads to bad lineups. It's always going to be the case, but we'll do the best we can to work off of it. And apologize for all of you guys out there who are always looking for me to give the best possible takes I can. I think the way that this is working out with the projections not being right, it's a little bit hard to fully pin down what the actual lineups are going to look like. What is the prize pool for Thanksgiving? I presume it's like 30%. Let's see what it is. 2,500. So yeah, it's almost 50% of the prize pool goes to first place in this one. So we will go with 30% for our Sim. And let's just run the Sim here and see what it gives us. And while this runs, guys, I feel imperfect this show. I like to put out perfect shows always. But you know what? The beauty's in the imperfection, right? So please subscribe down below. Please hit the like button. Splash Play once again on the march to 3K subs. Now we are under 100 subs away. So for the love of God, don't unsubscribe right now. But also, please do actually subscribe and hit the like button. About 40% of people that watch Splash Play aren't subscribed. Might be more than that, depending on the video. So help a brother out. Please subscribe down below as we try to build this channel up and make it into something big and beautiful for all of you guys. And of course, go check out Probably as well. I'll be doing the video at Probly app, the Probly app YouTube channel. Dropping a best bets video every day based on our Probly data. Of course, at Probly, we check top sportsbooks around the world to find the true probability of every bet, then grade out legal sportsbook opportunities off of that. Yesterday, another 2-in-1 day on that video, and actually highlighted a few long shot bets that I would not have advocated for taking, but hit, including the Cavs money line yesterday. So that's what we're doing at Probly. I think if you are a bettor, if you're in a legal betting state, get it into part of your process because it's really easy to get in. And of course, you use the promo code SPLASH at probably.com/subscribe. You're getting 50% off of Probly, which is my app, my baby that goes, it's a lot better than just me giving picks. It's actual data, betting market data that's going to help you make better bets. So check it out at probably.com and go to probably.com/subscribe with promo code SPLASH for 50% off. Seahawks allow quite a bit of yards to tight end. I mean, look, I picked Kittle, so I feel good about that. It's not the greatest EPA matchup, and straight yardage could be a reflection of the players that are actually playing against the Seahawks, but I do think that's probably one of the better matchups. The slot for Brandon Ayuk, though, is pretty tough to ignore. Brandon Ayuk gets 43 targets on the year out of the slot, which is about 17 more than Debo. 0.51 EPA there, 0.2 EPA allowed by the Seattle defense against slot players. Ayuk, we've seen the targets concentrate a little bit more for Ayuk, for Debo, for George Kittle. That is something that I think could benefit Ayuk this week, but one of Kittle or Ayuk being in a winning lineup, I think would be my gut read. But Debo with the rushing, like one Niner pass catcher making a lineup, I think would be probably a little bit underowned, and I think has a good shot of actually being in a winning lineup. All right, top 150. See what it looks like. Highest ROI lineup right now is going to be a Cowboys stack: Dak, Tony Pollard, AJ Dillon, CeeDee Lamb, Debo, Christian Watson. Christian Watson in the highest ROI lineup. What a treat to see. Sam Laporta, Luke Musgrave, 49ers. So Musgrave is in here. Unfortunately, this is going to skew the numbers a little bit here. One without Musgrave at number 2. Dak, Christian Watson makes it again. Uh-oh, guys. Seems like the Sim Bros are going to be playing Christian Watson. Welcome to my world. Welcome to my hell. Dak Prescott, AJ Dillon, Zach Charbonnet, CeeDee Lamb, Christian Watson, Brandon Cooks, Sam Laporta, Debo Samuel, Cowboys. So at least this one, we got a little bit different by having the Brandon Cooks in there for the Dallas stack. And I think that's what you basically are going to have to do if you're playing 4 Cowboys in total. But even that, honestly, this one might be still pretty well duped relative to a Thanksgiving slate where it's using $49.9 in salary. And I wouldn't throw salary out the window for this one, like we normally do for Showdown, but I would say you could probably go down to a $49,000 salary, maybe even a $48,500 salary. If it's giving you a unique build, it still projects decently. So just something to keep in mind here. Normally for a main slate, I wouldn't leave more than $500 on the table. For a Thanksgiving slate like this one, where there's going to be so many dupes, you could leave like $1,000, $1,500, and I don't think it'd be the craziest. Let's see. Let's look at the overall numbers here. Okay, CeeDee Lamb, highest exposure player overall, 58%. We are getting leverage on the field with him as well, so it does want you to get more CeeDee Lamb in the field. A.J. Dillon, 55%. Sam Laporta, 51%. Zach Charbonnet, 51. Jake Ferguson, 50. So those are your top projected players here in terms of the exposure by the Sims. So a lot of those guys coming in, those are the guys the Sims think are the best play. Obviously, you can also build unique builds off of that, where if you know Lamb and Ferguson are coming in, you could do a Cowboys double with Cooks and Gallup and really try to get unique. Obviously, that's a pretty tight needle to thread, but it is a one-game sample size kind of variance that you're hoping to capture for the Cowboys. And anybody can score against the Commanders. So I do think that playing some more of those Dallas stacks would be certainly in play, or different Dallas stacks would be certainly in play. Highest leverage players that it wants you to get more than the field of. Sam Laporta at tight end. Christian Watson coming up, 41% exposure for Christian Watson, and it wants you to get 21% more. So this is bringing me a lot of joy to see. Were the underlying stats good for Watson last week at all? I mean, most snaps and most routes is it, and he got a touchdown. So I don't know. He's the same Christian Watson. It's just there's enough guys there eating off this plate, which I think is a big difference between last year and this year for him. I guess you could nickel and dime the Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers drop off. But it's really just that, like, Jaden Reed's better than everybody else they had last year. Romeo Doubs is a better Romeo Doubs. Musgrave, probably better than what Tynan gave him last year. So it's just that everybody's better. And I think it's not about Watson himself. So if you're trying to target a ceiling, like Watson can hit a ceiling, but the Sims want you to play Watson, and I'm glad to not be alone here. Glad to have data on my side for once on here. Most under-owned guys that it thinks you're getting too much of, or the field's getting too much of. George Kittle wants you to get only 4% of him, so Kittle maybe not a great sim play. Tyler Lockett also coming in here under the field, less than 13% of what the field's expected to get, with 18% ownership going to the field. David Montgomery getting less of him. Christian McCaffrey, a lot less of him. So these are the players the Sims don't want you to get. Let's look at some stacks that are not Dallas. What's a good stack to go to that would not be a chalky Dak one? All right, Brock Purdy, Tony Pollard, A.J. Dillon, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brandon Ayuk, Debo, again, Musgrave, that doesn't matter. Logan Thomas, 49ers. So we are getting a Purdy stack with two pass catchers. No McCaffrey in that one. In this one, a QB +3, Brock Purdy, McCaffrey, A.J. Dillon, Brandon Ayuk, Debo, Christian Watson, Sam Laporta, Logan Thomas, Cowboys. That one will still be valid for sure. What about, let's see. And Love is probably not that good. Love is looking better, man. Derek Klassen, a guy who I thought did great work for us at Football Outsiders. I think now he's doing stuff with reception perception, and also does some blogging for the New York Times, I think, or at least did as of last year. Very good film guy. He also joined the people along with JT O'Sullivan on QB School, where everybody is saying that that's not Christian Watson, Jordan Love's looking a lot better and able to handle pressure better. And you have seen his EPA numbers where he was like a -1 EPA guy. Now he's at a -0.5, which is still not good. Like around -0.2, -0.3 is about where the elite QBs are, but it's looking better. So I don't think Love is dead. And I actually, I think playing some Niner stacks is definitely in play for me. Assuming some Green Bay stacks. Obviously, we're looking at Niner stacks right now. Highest ROI Green Bay stack. Jordan Love, Christian McCaffrey, Zach Charbonnet, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave, Jake Ferguson, Cowboys. Musgrave obviously not going to be a play for us, so let's look at one that doesn't have him. Love, McCaffrey, Dillon, Amon-Ra, Dobbs, Watson, Logan Thomas, Charbonnet, Cowboys. I don't know that I'd run a QB +3 against Detroit's defense, but I think that's a valid play to make on this kind of slate. QB +2 would look a little better, I think. Jordan Love, Tony Pollard, Charbonnet, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Watson, Musgrave, Ferguson, Cowboys. You could leave salary on the table and just drop from Musgrave to Kraft, and that'd be one way to do that. But I would also just move Ferguson and then play Jaden Reed. I think would look like a better play in this build. But I think Jordan Love stacks are valid. I'll play some this week. Really, again, it's a showdown kind of slate, 3-gamer. So you just have to build unique combinations. So like I would even play, let's look at Seattle, but like I would play Geno stacks too, just because it's not Dak. Like anything that's not Dak that you're going to play gives you more upside. Geno, Tony Pollard, Charbonnet, Ayuk, DK Metcalf, Lockett, Sam Laporta, Jake Ferguson, Cowboys. So QB +3 with the bring back of Ayuk. That is definitely unique. And you are kind of trying to consolidate the production here into Tony Pollard and the Cowboys. So you are getting less, and Jake Ferguson, but you are getting less than 4 Cowboys. So I think this kind of build is the one that I would try to push towards more, not specifically Geno, but what this build represents, where you're getting a different stack. You're getting some parts of the Cowboys that can hopefully have a 2-touchdown game to make up their implied total here of, what are they at? Are they at 30? Yeah, they're at 30 flat, which is one of the highest totals of the year. So you're basically trying to say that the defense gets a touchdown, Ferguson gets a touchdown or two, Pollard gets a touchdown or two, and then that's how the day goes. So I think this kind of build would work. Jared Goff is probably the player that is the most logical play that's not Dak, just because it's a very high total game for Detroit, 27.3 implied points. And you're also, if you go with a Goff stack, you're going to get leverage on the running backs potentially. So this one with Goff, Pollard, Charbonnet, Amon-Ra, Debo, Jaden Reed, Sam Laporta, Ferguson, Cowboys. I like that a lot. Again, we're consolidating Cowboys touchdowns with Pollard, Ferguson, and Cowboys D. We're also getting a Goff double in here. So if Goff hits, he's going to pull away from the running backs as well. So I think this kind of build makes sense. But for Dak, really in general, I believe that like Dak's the best play in the slate. Cowboy stack is the best play in the slate, but just playing another QB stack is going to be a way that'll give you more upside to win a tournament. Because again, you can't overstack Dallas because the projections are pushing people to overstack Dallas. So Dallas is again, same thing as Buffalo last year. If you played that slate, just too obvious of a play. You're going to do better playing less of them and trying to consolidate the production amidst a few guys. Even though I will play some Dak stacks, like if you're playing Dak stacks, include one of Cooks, include one of Tolbert or Gallup, like try to get a little bit thinner there just because the configuration with Dak, Lamb, Ferguson, Cowboys D, that's like really obvious and everybody's going to play it. Hi, buttholes indeed. Hi, buttholes indeed. And after tomorrow will be known as Deuce Vaughn Day. Deuce, I don't have a lot of faith in that. Where was Deuce's snap count last week? He was inactive last game, wasn't he? Not sure about that offhand. Deuce Vaughn, played 0 snaps last game, 5 the one before that, 0 the one before that, 0 the one before that, bye week before that, 0 before that, 5 before that. Rico Dowdle would need to be out for your Deuce Vaughn play to hit Mr. Shadow Dog, but I hope it does for you. Kind of love how the Sims are pushing folks to Goff. I mean, they're not. They're pushing people more towards Dak by a wide margin. I'm pushing people towards Goff is what's happening here. But if you are joining in late, stack exposure. So here are the highest stack guys. A lot of Dak QB +2, an incredible amount, 29% Dak QB +3. So that tells you everything you need to know there. Goff is number 2, though, 7% QB +2, 11% QB +3. The guy's going unowned. A Howell stack, man, that's tough, but a Howell stack against the Cowboys D, going to have a lot of struggles getting there, but he's got to drop back a lot. The implied total doesn't support it, but nobody's going to play Sam Howell. At least, he drops back a lot, and he's going to have to throw basically the entire game. So a lot of risk with Howell, but him not coming up at all in the Sims. Him and Geno not coming up at all. These are the guys that are really going to get you low owned if you do play a stack with them. Isaiah McKenzie was a wide receiver 2 on Thanksgiving last year. Anything can happen. There you go. Isaiah McKenzie, that's right. That was the one good game he had last year. And he basically hurt Diggs, hurt Gabe Davis, hurt Knox. Like, I think Knox might have gotten there if I'm remembering correctly. But like, that's all it takes for CeeDee Lamb to not get there. He's the best play in the slate. He very well, like the most likely outcome is CeeDee Lamb goes off and feasts against Washington. But also if CeeDee Lamb doesn't get there, you're probably seeing the production go somewhere else, and that's probably going to how you win the most money. I'll do the 3 takeaways here, even though it's not a showdown. 3 takeaways to build unique lineups here. Number 1, playing less than 4 Cowboys. And if you are going to play the 4 Cowboys, make sure they're unique Cowboys. But if you are rolling in with Dak, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, and one of Jake's Ferguson or Cowboys D, you're just going to be with a lot of the field. So just don't play that. Like, that's just what it is. Don't play that. Or if you do play that, make sure you're putting in something really unique under 10% owned with it. Number 2 would be, I guess it's not unique, but the Sims really like Christian Watson. I feel like I'm like a pyramid scheme person trying to rope you in here. But Christian Watson, he's showing enough signs of life. Got a touchdown last week. A game here indoors for him. Maybe that's another positive as well. I really can't stump for Christian Watson, but I'm blown away by him coming up the Sims. And I think a lot of people look at that and go, I can't play Christian Watson. He sucks. And if the Sims were saying to play it, and the projection's only going to get better when the Sims account for Musgrave being out officially, I think that Watson is a strong play to go to, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. He passed the test when he was the one last rodeo thumbnail last week. He got a touchdown, so we're back in Christian Watson season. No. You've never lost enough, because you know what fucking happens? You know the meme of the guy, the gambling thing, guy who stopped gambling, he walks away before he's even close to the diamonds. Guy who keeps gambling, he keeps getting closer to the diamonds. So we're going to keep chipping away until Christian Watson gets there. Uh, so the Sims said what they said. I didn't make the Sims. I'm not the one. I'm the Sim Reaper, I guess, if I'm advocating for Christian Watson. Number 3 takeaway to get unique here. I mean, just playing the lower owned stacks, like obviously that kind of goes hand in hand with playing less than 4 Dallas guys, but play a lower owned stack with it. And that's another way to get double unique. So you're basically, it's what we talk about always for showdowns, where like you're trying to find like 3 levers, 2 to 3 levers of how you're getting different from the majority of the field. The majority of the field is going to play a lot of Cowboys, and they're also not going to play Geno Smith. They're not going to play Sam Howell. They're not going to play Jordan Love, and they're going to play Jared Goff and Brock Purdy less than they probably should. So all of those guys are valid, but basically just pair another stack with your 3 Cowboys, and that's going to be the best way to get there. Even though Dak, the upside's huge, you can find ways to win without Dak, and that's like the main thing I would try to say always, but especially for these kind of 3-game slates, it's just a matter of chopping yourself away from a large portion of the field. So there we go. Asking you to invest in Christian Watson and Ether. Yes, Ethereum's still popping off. I think it's a great coin. I'm not in the coin streets anymore, so I don't know what's going on there, but I do know in the Christian Watson streets, business is booming with that 10-point game. So can he double it up this week? If he gets 20, he breaks the slate, guys. So I think you should play Christian Watson. Either way, guys, please do subscribe down below. Please hit the like button, splash play in the March of 3K subs. And I would really like to get it before the new year. So please do subscribe down below. Leave the like button. If you're watching after the fact, leave a comment as well. I'm happy to look up any data here, especially if I did mush mouth some stuff today, because I feel like I didn't talk at all before the stream. And that always makes me feel like I'm just fucking marble mouth. So please do leave a comment. Any questions you have, let me know. And of course, check me out later today. Ship's Giving stream coming up. I'll be on that one. I think it starts at 8:15 or 8. I don't know, somewhere around there. But I'll be doing the first shift there with Lord Reeves and, of course, Pete and Gretch and Crane. So doing the usual thing there. And I guess I'll have to tout Josh Reynolds too, because that is tradition. But check that out later today. On Friday, of course, Splashy will be back. I'll be doing the stream at 12 o'clock, a rare 12 o'clock start, because I'll be doing the 11 o'clock stream on Stochastic. So my content continues on for the main slate. We'll be doing that on Friday, back-to-back here, Splash Play. Similar video for the main slate, and then right before that, Stochastic, whatever their show is, where I think they also do Sims. But that is it for me, guys. So I hope you guys have a blessed and happy Thanksgiving. I don't think people bless Thanksgiving, but I hope you have a blessed one. I hope it's a great time for you. Of course, hope you enjoy lots of food. And of course, I hope you guys win some money. If I don't take this down, I do hope you do as always. And shout out to the Squirt Squad. I'm always updating here. If you don't join this channel or you unsubscribe, you're out. If you join the channel, you're in. So welcome, Lateralis. But I appreciate all of you guys who help me put on the show. And if you want to help Splash Play continue to do the show, hit the join button down below, $4.99 a month. You also get my data sheet, which actually I guess I'll drop after the show today for the Splash Play members. So that includes all the metrics I look at, all the route participation numbers, anything you'd be curious about. I'll be dropping that for the members right after the show. And of course, here, what a plug whore. Check out Probably too, probably.com/subscribe. Promo code SPLASH. If you want to make for a special Thanksgiving for your pal Spags and his family, go sign up at probably.com/subscribe and save yourself 50% on a monthly or a yearly package. So it's normally $500 for all of our data, all of our live in-game stuff as well. You can save 50% on that and literally be paying under $250. So pretty good deal going right now at probably.com. And it's going to be ending soon because we're going to start rolling out the affiliate stuff. So go probably.com/subscribe. Promo code SPLASH, getting good bets, and check out my best bets video, which will be coming out on the Probably app channel on YouTube in a little bit. And now that I've hoarded adequately, I can finally leave. I can finally rest. Appreciate all you guys being here. Enjoy your Thanksgivings. Good luck. See you guys soon. Bye.